working on our Jeep camper project today, our OXJ camper, and we was going to talk to you a little bit and show you how the floor pan came out. Wasn't here to video it and all, because we don't want to waste your time and knowing how to put in a floor pan. Plenty of guys showing how to put in floor pans, but we're not here to do that. We're just showing you what we did, okay? So as we got started here, we had our original tongue coming, had it all mounted to the frame. I had a big, huge hole in the floor. So most of you remember that on the last clip of the video. But today, we're going to show you how the floor pan actually came out. Our floor pan, what we started with, was this main sheet, and I had just sit here on the table and just bent me a few lines here, basically around 12 inches here, 11 and a half right to there, and I actually, you can see by the design here, there is a cross brace underneath. We'll show you that in just a second here. But that cross brace helps stiffen this up. So went ahead and laid the pan in there, welded it. Like I told you before, I drilled holes to weld to my original frame, just like a traditional spot weld would be. Put regular welds all the way around it. And so that's how that pan came out. Usually on a floor pan, whenever you weld all the way around them, you're going to wind up with a cupping motion, one way or the other, either up or down or whatever. I went ahead and tapped me in across here to wind up getting this to go down low. With a simple drain hole, any extra water, anything happens here, whatever I choose to do in here, this is going to be the low point. Water's going to go to there, pee right out on the ground. Up here, of course, that needs to be flat, so that's why I put the cross brace there. So, right here is how we put in the T for the cross member right there. Just a simple old piece of used steel. We cap that off, put that right there, right straight back to our battery box. That's all it is. Just one raw pan laying on top of that cross member. That's what we got there. So that's how that turned out. Now that's steel. This piece here is still that original sheet. If you remember in the early videos, if you hadn't seen the early videos, check them out. But that's where I had made these side panels here. That's that same one sheet of brand new steel that I had bought. That's steel parts of it. And over there, we still have a piece left over for the rear. So we still got plenty of steel. And that's only a 4x8 sheet that we used right there. That's 18 gauge steel. And that's what we had there. Now back there in the back, you may be asking, what in the heck has he got going on back here? Well, let me explain that to you. What we have going on here is our battery box. Now, some people say, wow, that's a big old battery box, heavy duty. Man, that really must cost you a lot of money. It did. $10 out of my pocket. It tore me up when I paid that $10 for all this steel. It was an old salvaged old piece of box, his old battery box. A guy had it. It was from an electrical panel and at a scrap yard. So I picked it up for $10 and I had it here at the shop. Didn't know what I was going to use it for. Well, now I do. So I cut this thing, trimmed it up, split it in different shapes here to make me a battery house here. The batteries can sit in here, any kind of batteries. Even if I want to set a generator in there and then set it out, anything I want to carry in here. Whatever I want to carry can be in here. And then I will take some regular old 3/4 inch plywood. Bam, there's my floor. Trim off the piece, have a door here, and I come here, box this in, and just have that flat. This area here will be the same height as that is. Right here, this area here, I figured, well, with this cavity here, by running a battery here, if I want to use a solar panel converter, any kind of electronics, anything like that, I plumbed in holes here so that I can utilize these frame rails as a conduit for any kind of electrical I need. I can put my inverters, anything right here, And then, of course, I can eventually put me a little door on it, and it'll be flat across there. Right here, on these conduits I was talking about, I'll take me some regular flat pans and make me a little pan that will lay over this, and a couple of little simple screws, and that will be removed so that you can get to the wiring and feed anything from front to the rear any way you want to it. Everything's tucked out of the way. So it's a good heavy duty box. If I choose not to use it for batteries, I can use it for a toolbox. If nothing at all, I'll put my dirty underwear in it. Okay, so that's enough of that. Now back here you may say, wait a minute, what's that big huge hole in the rear? Well, I was sitting there and looking at everything and how we're going to design it, and I realized that our shock cross member here needed to come out. And you said, well, that's a lot of extra work. Well, it was, but I think it's worth it. If we step over to the table here, I'll show you what's going on with that shock cross member. All right, we chose to change our axle out, do away with the old XJ axle. Yeah, some people will run them, and that's fine. If you will choose to run the old original axle, it's simple, it's plain, it'll never wear out on you. You got the brakes, you got all that, and that's fine. Well, we chose not to. The original XJ style rear end right there, that chunk, that center carrier right there, is only about 7.5, 8 inches from the ground up to that. So not a lot of clearance right there, and that's with decent sized tires on. So I was a little bit leery about that because no telling where we'd wind up going with this thing. But then also the extra weight. I'm configuring that I'm thinking that I'm probably going to gain probably about 100 pounds lighter by doing away with the axle, the differential, and all that. So I swapped out, and I've got a whole different axle system. The axle system I've got, it requires me to put the shocks to the front. A regular XJ Jeep, it has one shock to the rear and one to the front. This original cross member, which was up underneath there, I cut it on out because I need shocks to be to the front, both of them. All right? And so instead of sitting here and you could imagine trying to cobble this together and making this fit, I said, I'm not going to do that. I've still got some leftover square tubing. Do it just similar to like a race car system would be. Just put some bars across some supports and tie my shocks there. And then tie the floorboard right on top. Also, that whole floorboard there with that big opening may have to be cut out and cleaned up because I needed to put in a water tank also. And I put a water tank where the original gas tank is. So either I may use the original rear floor pan, or I may even wind up cutting it out. Just whichever is easiest for me and winds up working out the best. Let me show you what kind of axle I'm going to use today. Alright. This axle, you might be asking, well, that's more money. I got to buy another axle. Well, for me working on a man's Jeep bumper for him, he basically donated me this axle. This is actually out of around a 98, 99 model Dodge Caravan. Well, some people might say a minivan axle up under a Jeep. Well, actually, a minivan, that Dodge Caravan is actually heavier than a Cherokee, even with the main 6-cylinder and the big transmission, the drive shaft, the rear end. It's actually a heavier body than this is. So I'm not concerned about the weight difference at all. Let me get the tape measure and show you. This Dodge Caravan axle, some people might look at it and say, wait a minute, he's got it upside down. I absolutely do have this upside down. Okay, so before y'all comment, I'm telling you, it's upside down. The reason why, I went from the 7.5 to 8 inch kind of clearance. oh, let me see here. Maybe 17 and a half, 18-inch clearance. That's what I went to. So with that type of ground clearance underneath here, I don't have to worry about too much. Now, I know right here I've got to trim off this lug here. I know I'm getting close right here. I'm already expecting to use a helper spring right here that will help bring it up just a little bit, get the body up just a little bit more. Another thing you have to remember is that from a four-wheel setup, you got more chance of your frame rail being hit by the rear end because of the differentials and the way they work than a three-point. The three-point here, I got 1 point here with this tire hitting the ground, that point over there, and then my tongue. 3 points. It's going to always stay more stable than trying to twist a 4-point system. So right here, with this clearance right here, once I put the helper spring in there, clean this up right here, I'll probably gain around 4 or 5 inches. Well, since I'm not restricted by the front end, it is going to float even with this tire. Wherever this tire goes, this body would naturally just stay close to it and run just like it needs to. But with a 4-point system, with a forward touch-off area, it will have a lot of twist and it can bring this down very low and possibly hit it. If there ever was an issue about it hitting, I can turn around and add pull-over shocks. I can use air shocks. I can use another helper spring. Worst come to worst, I could even notch that out if I needed to. I don't think I'm ever going to get to that point that I need to do anything. I like that ground clearance right there. That's a big must for me. You might ask, why didn't I just go with a traditional trailer axle? Well, free had a lot to do. This right here, this axle was basically free for some of my labor, just working here in the shop on the afternoon for my friend. Another thing is, I've got park brakes. Now, don't think that I'm going to actually try to come up with some rigged up system to utilize regular brakes on this thing, from the front. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just do it with a regular, regular pull style trailer system. And then the brakes here will only be for parking. Whenever I park on a hill or something like that, I can pull my lever and I'm parked and it won't roll away with me. I had to one time repair a trailer that had ran off a hill because the guy didn't have his scotches under there right. I'm not going to be sleeping in this thing and it rolled down a hill and while I'm in it. That's not going to happen. So with these brakes, they were all in good shape. My brake drums were in excellent shape, still good and usable, so wasn't a problem there. My brake cables can run right underneath there. Let's see right here. Lock on right here. There's my original Jeep style park brake lever. I'm thinking that it can tuck right under there, hidden out of the way. So when I get ready to park, I just reach right there, pull that lever, lock it in. Nobody can trip it, knock it loose, anything like that. And only I can reach under there and unlock it and then release my brakes and continue on. So we're going to get, the next video we do, we're going to get all into this axle, show you how we did it. I'm not recommending you run out and buy a Dodge Caravan axle. I'm not recommending you do that. I'm just showing you what I'm doing, okay? So you can use any kind of axle you want to, any kind of brake system you want, or whatever. The whole thing behind this build here is to show you basically the outline of how we put this together and how we're going to use it and stuff. And then later on, the next few videos, we're going to get into our bed system, how it works, flipping up, rock and roll beds. There's all kinds of hundreds of different styles of bed systems. We're going to try to work together and figure out exactly which way we want to go. Main thing is we got a full bed all the way back, wall in the back, and a kitchenette hanging off the rear. Right there. When we open up that tailgate, we got our kitchenette and everything we need there. We got a full bed here. That's what we're mainly after. And so that should cut it for this segment right here. And I appreciate you coming After Hours Auto Works.